everybody. Welcome back to Simple Interrupted, the podcast where we talk about what's actually happening inside your veterinary practice. I'm Mary Schwartz, your host. I'm a certified veterinary technician turned veterinary industry nerd. And on each episode, I'm here with a guest to unpack some things that are supposed to make your life easier in practice, but maybe they don't. So today I've got a great guest with me, a good friend of mine, Tom Seeko. Tom, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Mary, it's so awesome to be here, and Smarter Vets, it's so cool to be able to have the chance to have some conversation. I'm Tom Seeko. I'm the co-founder of Florida Veterinary Advisors. We are a national personal and business financial planning firm devoted to helping veterinarians, practice owners, veterinary teams with a different way of thinking to make your financial decisions easy so you can spend time doing other things that you love. And if you guys want to nerd out on a lot of other stuff outside of this, I love, Mary, how you mentioned nerd, because I get so entrenched in things myself. And if you like to read, we have a book. If you like podcasts, we have a podcast ourselves, Smarter Vet Financial Podcast, about 300 episodes on there now. So if you're looking for a lot of stuff, go check us out. We're here to help and provide any education for you. So
I'll definitely link to the podcast in the description for this episode. So if you're looking for it, you can find it there. There's a wealth of knowledge in your podcast, Tom. So definitely would recommend checking that out. And I know that you are an avid reader as well as now an author. So what books have you read recently that you are really excited about?
When you just said author there for a second, I was just like, it kind of gave me like, ooh, kind of feeling.
Yeah, give you some chills.
I've said that today. Yeah, it's actually cool hearing that.
Yeah,
it's, well, on the note of that too, because like the book we wrote is called Unleash the Financial Clarity That Every Veterinarian Needs. I co-authored it with my business partner, CJ Burnett. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, if you want to get it. But I'm a huge book nerd. Like I love learning. I pretty much read everything like nonfiction. I have some fictional stuff that I throw in there because if I need to just kind of disconnect my brain for a bit, because I'm always trying to figure out stuff.
Yeah.
One of the most recent ones I've been reading to and listening to is a book called Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins. It's one thing is I've found it to be so insightful from the perspective of that our lives, we're constantly chasing something or running away from something, and we're always in a different state of either negativity or positivity, and it walks through the different phases of energy that we experience from negative to positive, and there's a transition that we make, and everything from disparity to anger to love to peace to it's incredible. I've read it, I highlighted it, I'm listening to it. And there was another book I read too. It's why zebras do not get ulcers.
I haven't heard of that one.
There's a book about stress. This guy wrote an entire book talking about stress and like the genesis of it. Not to give it away for anyone who does like to read books, but it's zebras don't get ulcers because usually their life isn't under chronic stress. They're either grazing a field or they're running away from some sort of predator. And then
it's like a momentary stress.
Yes. And like the predator chases them and then all of a sudden it's done and then they're good again. But we live in this world of like where we have excessive stress. And the guy talks a lot about it as like what's healthy stress versus unhealthy stress. And where a lot of the stress that we have actually is one of the biggest contributors to the illnesses and sicknesses that we get because of just like our bodies. It's so intriguing to me. Like as I'm thinking about it, it's giving me chills right now that like whenever we're under stress, it actually diverts the energy from your body in different areas. Like you'll stop digesting food because it's like if you're ever like running away from something, your body's not going to digest food. It needs to exert that energy somewhere else. And like when you're under constant stress, it takes away from other parts of your body and actually causes your immune system to be compromised.
Yeah.
And then once you actually go back into a relaxed state, your immune system is still compromised, even though you're not stressed anymore because if you've been under excessive stress. And mind blowing. I read the book.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to read it again soon. It's great.
Sounds like a lot of mindset type of things. Like how do you approach your life with a mindset that allows you to manage all of these different competing priorities and stressors that we have nowadays? Like you mentioned, we're always chasing something, right? We're always wanting, bigger, better business, better house, better car, more comfortable life, more stability, all those things. And then that just trickles down into all sorts of other areas of our lives.
On the note of letting go, back to that book, our thoughts are what create our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you can find a way to just let your thoughts either be or let them process, you won't really experience a lot of different feelings. Or if you are experiencing a feeling, like even the letting go method the guy talks about, instead of having a feeling and trying to suppress it or push it away, you sit in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why am
Oh
I
man,
feeling
that's hard
this?
too. That is really hard.
It's real. It's kind of like me jumping in my cold plunge. It's at 42 degrees. Like, a lot of people look at me
Yeah.
like I'm a crazy person. But the amount of mental toughness that creates, and also the resistance to cold as well, it's just, there's like, when you can learn to control your brain, it's amazing, like what you can do.
Have you been following these Buddhist monks that have been walking from Texas to Washington, D.C. at all?
Not following, but I heard about them. What have you
Them?
picked up on it?
They're just there's a lot of messages that they share that are very similar of this mindset, right? Of, recognizing your thoughts and feelings, acknowledging them, and then letting them pass instead of just hanging on to them. And one of them was saying that every day, the first thing he does when he wakes up is he wakes up and he writes on a piece of paper, "Today will be my peaceful day." And then goes about his day. And it's such a powerful, it's so simple, right? But it's such a powerful idea that if you can say, this is what the way my day will go, and then you don't allow outside external people or events to influence that beyond acknowledging that it's happening and then letting it move through you, then you can have a more balanced and thoughtful life, which is a really, I think, truly an exciting thing to try to attain.
I love that. It reminds me of, there's a show I was watching, White Lotus.
I love White Lotus.
And they were in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
And the daughter wanted to go check out this monastery or whatever it was, or I forgot what exactly the term is, but like all the Buddhists that are there. And there's something that I really latched on when they're like meditating. It's like, when you try to meditate, there's these thoughts that come in that are constantly intrusive. And people are like, I can't meditate. And what I really liked, what the guy said in there, he was like, whenever you see a thought, instead of trying to push it away or getting frustrated about it or anything, you just say, hello, goodbye, hello. Go. And I'm just like, so simple. Everything's so simple in life. However, it's the application and the follow through is the hardest part.
Yes. And consistency. Building that consistency is really, really hard, especially with something like meditation, where you just are sitting there and getting used to the idea of sitting in your own thoughts. Because there's so much stimulus today in the world. Like, why would I sit with my own thoughts when I could just scroll through Instagram instead,
Amen. I've been there.
But it's something to practice. So we're moving from just the veterinary industry into philosophically, how do you improve your life with Tom and Mary?
I will say all of this stuff is connected. As much as people like to say it's not, or kind of disregard it, your mind has such a big impact on your life. And I think even the mentality gets me thinking here, Mary, of when people just say I didn't get into veterinary medicine to make money. It wasn't about the money, which I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, the money that you make from it also is providing you the ability to do certain things in your life, to where you can't sit here and just be like, well, I don't care about making money because I'm just going to care for animals. I think they call that volunteer work, which if you want to volunteer, you can. However, it's this is a livelihood that you probably also pumped $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 of student loans into it to actually become a veterinarian. So it kind of is about the money to a certain degree here.
Yeah, you want to live a comfortable life, even if you're living a life. I mean, there's the Japanese idea of overlapping your passion, something that can make you comfortable, and something that I believe it's happiness generally. Your passion, day-to-day happiness, and something that can make you financially comfortable. And those three things are inseparable for a reason. Yes. So I have seen a lot lately of clinics struggling with the financial side, just in general, the clinic side. But I also know that that not always do veterinarians, and this is probably generous. You probably hear this all the time, but not veterinarians didn't go to vet school to become business owners, right? A lot of them kind of happenstanced into it, or really liked the idea of becoming business owners. And then when they got into it, they realized, oh my gosh, This is a complicated and challenging and stressful world.
Yes.
You do a lot of advising for those business owners. Correct. What are some things that you commonly see that could day to day just bring more peace to folks if they were just to take a few pieces of advice?
I think the first thought that comes to my mind here around people who become owners is there is no clarity over what they want from their business. Mm-hmm. And it's, I got into, like, most veterinarians. I mean, I was chatting with someone earlier today, like, she actually wanted to be an owner. Like, it was something she was like, I want to open a practice. She's like this entrepreneurial spirit to her.
Yeah.
And of course, that comes from somewhere. Like, it might have come from her childhood or people she was around being influenced in some form or another. However, it's like most people in veterinary medicine who now own a business, they stumbled into it. Most of them have. And I will say the prior generation of veterinarians, they started a practice. Mm-hmm. People started coming. They started making money. It kept working. Things were growing. And then all of a sudden, it's like, here it is. I'm ready to retire. And I'm like, I need to get out. And a lot of this past generation has been doing great, I think, monetarily, especially if they have a couple of vets, a few veterinarians, and they've got people willing to pay very good prices for it. On the other flip side here, it's like a lot of people who are getting ownership. It's, why are you becoming an owner in the first place? Like, what is the purpose behind it? Is it, do you want to practice medicine a certain way? Or are you looking for a certain amount of freedom? Are you looking to make a certain amount of income? Are you looking to create an empire here to where you want to have multiple different practices? Like, what is fueling that ownership component of all of this? Because what I hear constantly from a lot of owners is like, I got an ownership and I don't have any time. I can't take off from work. I only pay myself X amount of dollars from my business. You know, I made $100,000. I paid myself $100,000, but I owed $100,000 in taxes. Like, how could that be? Well, your business made $500,000 in profits. Like, where is that money at? And this is a question that a lot of owners will sit here and be like, I don't know. Well, usually the best place, the very simplest thing here is look at your bank account. Is it going up? if it's going up, like, okay, you're making money, it's going there. If it's not going up and you're showing that kind of money, something's up. And we need to figure out.
It can't be that easy.
Yeah, it can't be that easy, right? But then it's like, you know, at some point or another, it's like the dependency, you know, this business, what is it? They say that the days are long, but the years are short.
Yep.
So it's like your business, you're going to be, you know, let's say you're 40 years of age and all of a sudden it's like you're 65. And it's like, I want to get out. There's no plan. Like, there's no clarity of what's happening next. Yeah. Yes, there are some people that have plans. There's some people that are like, it's all in my head, but there's nothing actually, you know, there's actually, there's like psychological studies coming back to the whole brain thing here again. The more, whenever you write something down with a pen on paper, there is a higher probability that you're going to actually follow through with that compared to keeping it in your mind.
Yeah.
So it's like putting it out on paper of like, what is the goal? Like, do you want to sell it to another associate veterinarian? Do you want to sell it to a corporation? Do you want to have multiple practice? Do you want to retain ownership forever? Where are you trying to actually grow this business versus it just being something that like you stress out about? And, you know, I've got people that are frustrating me. I've had people at 45 years of age that don't want to be owners anymore because they don't want to deal with people.
So then why did they get into it?
That's the question. It's like, why are you here as an owner? But I know a simple remedy to this. You find someone to be the gap between you and the people. They're usually called like practice manager, operations person. But then again, you know, one thing, it's just like veterinarians, from what I've learned over time, is a lot of them, and whoever's listening to this right now, it's like there is this level of trust or being able to be willing to let go of certain stuff. So then it's like, I'm holding on to this and I'm hiring not good people. And then I hold on to people for too long. And then it creates even more frustration because it's not working.
That is a chronic problem in our industry, is holding on to folks who are dragging the business down for way, way too long. And I think there's also an issue where people hire in, or owners hire in, a practice manager, or they promote from within a practice manager that isn't prepared to do the job. And they either
welcome to corporate world.
yeah, right. And they either flunk out basically because they don't get any training or support, or they flunk out because they weren't the right personality, mindset, etc. to do the job. Right. And so I imagine there's a ton of owners out there who do feel like, oh, I just have to do everything myself if I want it to be done right, rather than seeking to find the right people to surround themselves with to grow their business. Is that something that you have run across a lot, or do you think that there's some other piece of it that keeps owners wanting their fingers in every aspect of the business?
Being a fellow owner myself, there is this sense of feeling like other people can't do it the way that I can.
For sure.
And that's where I usually, and then there's also this unrealistic expectation that we project onto people that, hey, look, they need to be like me. They need to do it like me. But then also too, it's at the same time, like, well, what kind of also training are you providing people? What kind of support are you offering them to even be able to do the job the way that you want them to do? Like, do you have process and procedures? We were actually just talking about this not too long ago, Mary. Like, it's, if you don't have process and procedures and people understand how to do things and you have an expectation of it, there's a misalignment from expectations. And then at the same time, let's say that their capacity or their capabilities are only 70% of what you're able of doing. Coming to the reality of like, it's okay. 70% is better than 0% or 100% of me tapped out being stressed out all the time.
Yes.
Like, and it's a hard thing to do, of just like being able to let that go. But I think it's also the lack of, again, it comes back to lack of clarity that's here, and like that control where, the environment, and this is something that I was reading earlier. Previously, the past generation, the baby boomers.
Yeah.
It was more of this like command and control environment, because there would be hierarchies and they would have management and leadership and everything else. And then there would be people doing the work.
Yep.
Today's day and age, I was reading that millennials actually make up the bulk of the workforce now. Like, it's the majority.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like the millennials, though, it's not like this command and control environment anymore. It's more of like, you have to actually get to know people and actually interact with them. And, one thing is that my coach always says to me, is like, people invest in the things that they can co-create.
Yes.
So it's like, if I'm constantly telling people what to do, and I'm also showing them how to always do it, but I'm not letting them kind of figure it out on their own and questioning them from a way of coaching them, that's also another bottleneck, where it's just like, I find a lot of leaders, like when they do hire people, or a lot of veterinarians, practice owners, they're usually barking orders, and they're not providing that leadership component that really is going to help transform and grow their people in the business.
Yeah. And I mean, the reality is that nobody that you employ is ever going to be as invested in your business as you are, because it's not their business. So when you start asking yourself, how can I get buy-in on growing my business, on making my customers excited, on having new ideas, you want them to be co-creating. And if you're just wanting little carbon copies of yourself running around, you really might miss out on some great ideas to help bring your business to the next level, because oftentimes as a business owner, you end up not being able to see the forest for the trees, right? There are lots of rooms you're not in day to day, that you don't hear the conversations, you don't know what's going on. And there's a lot that people can contribute to growing the business and feeling more invested in it if they're given that freedom.
I want to definitely add in here with this, that if you find people that are like you, there's a very good chance they're going to go open their own practice.
Yes, absolutely. From associates to practice managers. Yeah.
So it's like, if you expect for them to be like you, it's going to be even more challenging to try to keep them motivated to stay with you.
Yeah.
Which matters even more of what is the vision that you're after here. Because it's like, people get so caught up. And I mean, I keep reminding myself of this all the time doing in our business. I'm like, what is this vision? And what are we all working towards? Because it's like, if we always get stuck in like, we're in the trees and we can't see the forest that's ahead of us, and we're just always sitting here, it's just like, well, then it's like everything's being judged based off of what's happening at the moment versus the actions that are being done to help support the vision that we're going after. So something valid to keep in mind.
For sure. How do you get, I mean, you advise tons of folks. How do you get people to take a step back and actually create a vision that the team can buy into? Because I imagine a lot of people come to you with a very narrow field of view on their practice. How do you get them to take that step back?
Well, I think it all starts off with people being open and receptive in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very big believer that we are in the place that we're supposed to be at the time that we're supposed to be. And when something is becoming like a blaring alarm, or if something is presented to you, that's an opportunity that I think we all need to be taking and doing something with.
Yeah.
I find that most of the time it's like, try to visualize taking a square peg and shoving it into a circle hole.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whenever we meet with people that are, let's say they're just not receptive or open to it yet, there's not a lot that's going to change. No matter how much I preach, no matter how much I talk to you about it. And it really just boils down, because like I will say from the very beginning when we have conversations with people is, tell me more about your business. Tell me more about where you're trying to go with this. What have you done for this? How have you supported that? What's happening on this frame? Like, how important is this to you? What have you done to try to work through a lot of that? And what I'm really trying to gauge here is like what kind of enthusiasm, what kind of stress they have. Where are some of the areas that like I've been meaning to address this for a while, or also their receptiveness and openness to wanting to take some action, which then when you start wrapping in the combination here as an owner, the whole goal here shouldn't be to build practice wealth. The goal should be to also build personal wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do you create a plan? So like when you're thinking about this, like I'm an owner, I'm stressed out all the time. All I'm just trying to do is keep my head above water and make sure that we see patients. And my vet called out today, and shoot, I got to go work right now. I'm so stuck in the business and I'm not able to actually see the bigger picture. Like they say, work on the business versus work in it. And it's like really being able to connect and integrate the two of those, which then it's like, well, if you want to be the person who is running the show and you want to be the leader, then it's the conversation needs to boil down to, okay, so what are the steps that we need to take to get there?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you want to be the person practicing the veterinary medicine as well, but you want to be an owner, well, we got to talk about this and figure out how do we make that a reality for you?
Yeah. I know several owners who have to take a step back from practicing medicine if they want to be that leader. I've known several who have had to reduce their caseload or go down to 1 day a week or something like that. And the rest of their time is spent on leading, managing, owning the practice.
Yeah. Well, they're in that position for a reason.
Right.
There's something that got them there. And I think the more that you try to ignore it or push it away, it's probably going to create more stress and disgruntledness in your life. And, I know there's even like my own personal example, CJ and I, we would run business a certain way. He would do certain stuff. I would do certain meetings. And then at one point we're like, hey, look, you're really good at working with clients, the whole process, doing all the stuff. You're really good at doing business development and focusing on the growth of the business and the stuff that needs to be done on that side. So why don't we divide and conquer here? It was hard for me. I think it was also hard for him too, because it's like, we're so used to doing things in that control element again. Yep. But then it's also, you get this, like you get comfortable because it's like, you're so used to doing something over time. Yeah. But in reality, your strengths are so much more suited to be in this area.
Right. Yeah. I think it boils down to like equality and equity are not the same thing, right? Like equality is you guys divide tasks 50-50 and everybody does 50-50. Equity is putting the strongest players in the role where they shine the most. So that way your business is thriving.
Correct. Yes. Because it's like being an owner, coming back to solving this whole equation here. It's just, if you're just, another book that I actually read, we should probably mention this in the beginning too. It's called Buy Back Your Time, was another one that I'd read recently. And most of the time people are hiring people to just kind of fill spots. Mm-hmm. But realistically, when you're hiring, you should be hiring people to try to get more time back. Yes. And if you're hiring people that aren't creating more time for you, then that's a problem. Either they're lacking a certain amount of, there hasn't been provided enough training. There is a cultural misalignment. There is not enough leadership in there, or maybe they're just not capable of doing the job. It's one of those things there. So it's like if you're hiring anyone, one, being able to identify that side of it all, but then it's like if you're hiring the right people and you've created like an organization chart, you've created a structure, you understand where you play in this whole equation. We need clarity first to know where to go next. And I will say it's like, sometimes we get people coming to us and they want this quick hit. It's like, I don't have it for you. There is no quick fix to this. Like I can put a Band-Aid on it, but you have symptoms that there's something underlying that needs to be resolved here. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some energy. It's probably going to put you in an uncomfortable position because you've never been in this spot before. However, that's growth, and that's what it's about. And if that's important to you to do this, we have to go and approach this. And what's so funny about this conversation right now, it's like, as you can see, it's like not a lot of, even being in a financial world, financial stuff is so small, but I think like the mentality and the way that people view things, like the lens that how we all look at stuff is like, that's very important, because it's like someone might want something, or they might say they want it, but they truly don't want it. They've been, they've been kind of almost programmed to sit here and be like, I remember talking to someone that like, I need to go open another location. I literally just sat there and I looked at them and I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because of this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, so how does that support your plan? I don't know. I'm like, okay, so what makes you think it's a good move? Like, what's the purpose behind it? And then we start having this conversation, and it's like, we need to really truly understand, like, if you open this business and you create it, like, is it going to put you more on a path of where you're trying to go? Is it going to create more stress in your life? Is it going to generate more income that you're looking for? Like, what is it? Are you trying to make more of an impact on the community? But it's like making those decisions to where it's an alignment, and it all starts with that clarity.
I was thinking this earlier when you were talking about, why people become owners. And I wonder how many people become owners just because they think it's the right next step thing to do. Like, I became a doctor. Okay, I became an associate. Okay, an opportunity to buy a practice came up. So I bought into the practice, and now they're here without any real idea of why they want to even be here.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
I mean, we have a guy out of California right now who he bought a practice. He's only owned it for like 5 years. He doesn't want to own it anymore. It was like,
it's stressful.
It is. And it's, it's like this whole vision of gain more time, make more money, or practice medicine. Like, I think the biggest thing, like, if I really think about this hard here for a moment, it's most veterinarians open a business is because they want freedom. And usually the freedom is they want to be able to make a good lifestyle, and they want to be able to have time that they can go do stuff on their own.
Yep.
Usually they start making a good lifestyle, but they don't even manage that well, because it's just the money gets shoved into the business, or they're, ad hoc or willy-nilly taking money from the business, and there's no plan with it. On the other flip side, they have no free time. They're stressed out, and they're always required to be there. Like, that's not serving any of the purpose of why they started it. Like, but it's like taking that hard reality. It's like, well, now I'm making this money, and then being able to make a step back. They're like, how do I continue to keep doing this? And that is a hard thing to do, because, again, coming back to control and letting other people do things.
In my mind, one of the marks of a great leader is someone who can step away for any amount of time and all their operations function as if they were there.
Yes.
And that should be what all veterinarian owners are striving for. Although now we're seeing more, practice manager, CBT owners. I've seen more and more of them at different events. So, I mean, that's another place to look if you're an owner. If you want to offer a small amount of equity in your business to your practice manager, things like that, those can create more buy-in, more ownership, and give you the ability to put off some of that stress on a co-conspirator, so to speak.
Yes. I will say on the ownership side, there's one thing to really keep into consideration. Anyone that you do bring on as an owner, they are now, think about like you're married to them.
Yep.
So just be very cautious on if you do bring ownership. There are ways to structure compensation to make it advantageous for people to where you're not physically giving them ownership, but they feel like they're an owner. Even when, like, coming on the note here of what you're saying, Mary, with the, look, if I'm going to step away, can the business continue to operate? There's usually someone there that's helping orchestrate it. Like, there's someone that's there. And usually with any business, I mean, if you boil it down to it, what causes dysfunction in a business? Well, there are certain ways to do things, and they're not being repeated over and over. And people do things differently. They try to recreate the wheel. It creates a lot of confusion. There's like one person does it one way, another person does it another way.
Yep.
When you bring new people on, it just there's a lot of disjointedness there, which then can cause a lot of bottlenecking in the business, especially from a scaling standpoint. Because if you try to put more technicians in there, and they're all doing it all different, and they're not operating the same way, well, that's going to cause a lot of conflict, but then it's going to cause a lot of I don't know, let's say inefficiencies in your business.
Inefficiencies, compromising patient care, and you're just throwing people at problems instead of solving the problem.
Correct. Yeah, it's like making sure you have real and one thing is to bring this to light here. Yes, all this stuff sounds great. And I'm sure people who are listening like, yeah, I need to do that. I need to do that. I need to do that. Like,
yeah,
you absolutely need to. And if you're not capable of doing it and it's not a strong suit of yours, that's why having people in your world is so important. Like even in myself, like I brought on a business coach, I had a business consultant. We actually have a behavioral scientist that we work with. We have someone else that works with our employees. I mean, we have other professionals like attorneys and things that like we can't sit here and try to do it all. And then it's like, if we don't know how to hire someone or the process to go through to find like a certain caliber of person that you're looking for, like you can't just say like, oh, you have a pulse, you're saying the right things, this is how much I'm going to pay you. Okay, go at it. Like there's more work to it than that. So it's like, if you're not working with people that are actually helping you put your vision into reality, and you're trying to do it all yourself, like that's something just to take into reality. And like there is a price to it. But then it's like, realistically, it's if you hire someone, the idea of like, if you hire a veterinarian, the goal here is not to break even or lose money. The goal is to hire a veterinarian to make more money, either make more time. So it's like you hire these people, they're really designed to help improve efficiencies, to streamline and open up more of your time to focus on things to keep moving the needle forward. So.
Yeah, you have to surround yourself with experts. I mean, ultimately, you can't be an expert in everything, even with as many books as you read, Tom. You can't be an expert in all things all the time. And so finding where you maybe don't have an interest also. And I think a lot of times that ends up being HR. If the most veterinarians I talk to, the last thing they want to do is deal with HR. Having an expert help support them on that, help manage that is a huge addition. Sorry.
It's not just a thing in veterinary medicine. It's across all businesses.
Yeah.
Like you bring people in there and every person has different backgrounds, different histories, and you're having to work through a lot of emotions with people, and being able to motivate and inspire and get people engaged to do things like HR. Oh my Lord. Like that is probably one of the most complicated things to do in a business. Because it's like, you can't do everything yourself, especially as a veterinary practice owner. Like if you're even a single veterinarian, you like, let's say you had to do all like the blood work and the giving shots, and like you would just have no time to see patients. So then it's like you're going to be drained, exhausted. You're having to chart things all the time, follow up. So it's like it's almost like a necessary evil in a way. But then it's like making sure you bring people on there. And I will say one thing in my world that I believe a lot in: the more open and the more transparent we are in our interactions, and the more we communicate and really love on people, that creates tremendous things. People will go leaps and bounds to do whatever it is. Like you create the vision, you love on them, you're open with them, you're transparent, you're genuine with them. Even a conversation we had recently where it's like these owners, there's a whole group of owners we were talking in front of. They had the opportunity, like they have veterinarians that are on their team. The most that they ever spend with them is like once a month for 15 minutes. They're like, hey, how's it going? This, that, and the other. And I'm like, if you truly, genuinely want to get to know your people, go take people out to lunch periodically. Spend some time, maybe grab some breakfast with them. Do something to just have no agenda. Just sit down and talk with them. And they're like, man, we really need to go do that. And it's like, yeah, you absolutely need to, because if you want people to be invested in your practice and you want them to love being here, you got to also understand, like, you got to show some reciprocation as well. Because if it's all business all the time, or if you come in there and you're giving people high fives and all that, that only goes so far.
There's a meme of like a person with just their arm above their water with their hand out, and it's like drowning in all this work, and then it's managers with a pizza party. High five.
Yeah. Oh,
so it's true.
We're going to do a pizza party today. Yeah, those after one of those, I think usually after none of those, it's kind of already overdone. So, even with myself, I take team members out on a Monday. I'll take one out every so often, and I'll go have lunch with them and just talk.
Yeah.
It's interesting the things you learn too, because you're like, I didn't know that about you. I didn't understand that. It made you excited. Like what are some of the challenges you're having in your life that I don't even know about?
Yeah.
People just openly share.
It can prevent them from showing up to work at 100%, or there can be great things happening in their life that make them excited to come to work and really, pump them up. And so learning about it's part HR is part managing expectations, part therapy. So it's a good time for all. Before we close out today, I would, if I was a practice owner and I am looking to make a change, I don't know what change. I just know that things can't stay the way they are. Either I'm burned out, I'm not making as much money as I thought I would be. What should I be thinking about before I start soliciting an advisor? What should I be open to do? What questions should I be ready to answer? How do I start those steps to make change in my practice?
There's a lot to unpack in that question, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you right out of the gate, for doing this for over 10 years, there are going to be very few people who are actually going to sit down here and take this. And and it's not to downplay. I think we're all just very busy people. I would say, if there was anything of going back to what we were talking about earlier, understanding where you want to be on the bus, and then trying to design your business around where you want to be. I would highly encourage, and this is no tout to me, like if any of you wanted to chat and have a conversation around things, like I think it's just finding people that can also be able to organize our thoughts that we have.
Yeah.
And then be able to triage them and prioritize them versus being very reactionary to what's happening in life. And that's where it's, you can sit down, you can start thinking about this. It's like really being an owner, not even just on the business side. It's like, where do you want to go in your business? Really starting to design a path of like, hey, if I want to be one location and I just want to be really great and just have a bunch of veterinarians over here, and I want to have 10 veterinarians at some point, great, cool. You have a direction of where you want to go. I want to own multiple locations. Great. I have a direction I want to go. I just want to be a 2 veterinary practice. I'm good to go. Having a path in play of like, where do I want to be? When am I going to sell? What is my plan going to look like on the back end? If you can't answer these questions easily yourself, then, it definitely would be good to talk with someone. I wish there were tools that I could sit here and say, go plug all these things into a system.
Just go ask ChatGPT.
You could.
What should I do with my business?
Yeah. And then, one thing is be cautious with AI, because
yes,
AI will give you answers at times if you don't program it to say, if you don't know the answer, don't give me an answer. Tell me you don't know. Otherwise, it might make up answers, which is also just be very cautious on that. Like I remember I would ask questions and I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah. And it'll be really sycophantic too. So it'll tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear.
Yes. And then it's always like, that's a great question. Amazing. Like, how did you think about that? I'm like, okay, like, thanks for like pumping up my tires here.
Yeah.
It's just really just getting that focus on where you want to be. Really, if you're looking for the simplest thing to take from this right now, schedule 15 minutes on your calendar, like every week. Just sit down to have time to brain dump and put stuff on paper. Like that's even more simple, like non-negotiable 15 minutes. And then if you can expand that to maybe 30 minutes or an hour, or if you want to devote like a couple hours. But I will say the more you try to tackle it once, it's going to feel very daunting and overwhelming. Then it's like getting it all on paper and then start finding out where you have some inefficiencies, and then start trying to find people to help support you. If you can find someone to pull it all together, that's what we do all the time. We help people pull everything together. That would be ideal. You should probably look to work with someone like that.
For sure. And getting it all written down so that people like you can help get it pulled together is hugely important. Tom, thanks so much for taking time to chat with me today. This has been a great conversation as always. And I'll put your podcast information in the description for the podcast here today, so people will be able to find out where to listen to more of you. And for the rest of you out there, we'll be back in a couple weeks with a new episode. And subscribe, follow us on social media, and we will see you in a few weeks.
CJ Burnett and Tom Seeko are registered representatives and financial advisors of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, and financial representatives of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, New York, New York. CJ Burnett and Tom Seeko's California licenses are 0K79676 and 0K80141, respectively. Security products and advisory services are offered through Park Avenue Securities, LLC, a registered broker-dealer, investment advisor, member of FINRA and the SIPC, and a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Florida Veterinary Advisors is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Park Avenue Securities or Guardian. This podcast is for information purpose only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by Park Avenue Securities, Guardian, or Florida Veterinary Advisors, and opinions stated are their own. This material is intended for general use. By providing the content, Park Avenue Securities LLC and your financial representative are not undertaking to provide investment advice or make a recommendation for a specific individual or situation, or otherwise act in a fiduciary capacity. All investments contain risk and may lose value. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. The individuals associated with Florida Veterinary Advisors do not maintain specialized licenses or qualifications for the financial services provided to veterinary professionals. Florida Veterinary Advisors is not registered in any state or with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission as a registered investment advisor.
875-689-5.1 expires February 2028.